Well, someone who is a fan of Zoran Mamdani is Liberal podcaster Jennifer Welch. She's gone on this rant praising Mamdani, and she's also a fan of Liberals who celebrate the murder of Charlie Kirk. On her podcast, she played this clip of a woman at the No Kings rally and laughed as a woman was celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder. Look at this.
I'm sorry I took AIPAC money, atonement tour, if you want to stay in power. Stop missing out on these big rallies. Hakeem and Chuck should have been front and center introducing the next mayor of New York City, but no, they wouldn't show up because they're that are beholden to the same corporations that that helped Donald Trump get elected. And this is just an embarrassment. Kudos to Bernie, to AOC, to Zoran. And that woman out in somewhere middle America saying, Charlie Kirk, he was a racist, he was a piece of shit. We want politicians to speak freely and look at what the benefit is. Look at what is happening in New York. And you are sitting on the sidelines, running your social media like complete dorks. It's embarrassing. Get your together, Hakeem and Chuck. Seriously.
James, I mean, I watched that and I just instantly think of Erica Kirk, who's just lost her husband, the father of her children, and is right now addressing a massive Turning Point USA event honouring Charlie Kirk. Can I get your reaction to Jennifer's comments there?
I mean, it's truly sickening, and one of the most troubling, if not the most troubling developments of 2025 has been this normalisation of violence and this normalization about rhetoric around murder and death and killing. And I just hate to see how this is being mainstreamed in parts of the left. It's a really, really ugly development. Now, I don't exactly know what this woman's motives were. I'd never heard of her before, and hopefully I'll never hear of her again. But it is so important at a time like this where the atmosphere is so febrile that these are exactly the type of voices we don't listen to and we drown out completely, because that is a really skewed, sick motive. And I really hope that Erica doesn't have to hear that.
Absolutely. Well, let's listen to Erica Kirk as she addresses this Turning Point USA event.
You guys have no idea how helpful it is to have all of you in my life, because you help me feel even more deeply connected to my husband. And I thank you for that. I thank all of you for that.
I mean, you listen to Erica Kirk there, and then you listen to Jennifer Welch. You just cannot even compare when it comes to dignity, to class, and to grace. But Vice President J.D. Vance is joining Erica Kirk at this Turning Point USA event at the University of Mississippi, keeping Charlie Kirk's mission going. And J.D. Vance was also asked about a potential 2028 White House run on the Pod Force One podcast with Miranda Devine, insisting that there's no tension between himself and Marco Rubio. Listen to this.
First of all, no, there's not going to be any tension. Marco is my best friend in the administration. He and I work a lot together. Right. And we really do. I think a lot of the good work that we've been able to do as an administration is because we're all able to work together. And again, this is why I say worrying too much about the politics actually, I think, makes you worse at the job that you have. I never want to wake up. And so far, I've never woken up and thought to myself, how do I make myself president of the United States? What I wake up and think to myself is, how do I do a good job as vice president? And I think Marco Rubio asks himself, how do I do a good job as Secretary of State? And that should be the question that each of us keeps on asking ourselves.
James, it's interesting. Vance is certainly dominating the polls when it comes to the 2028 presidential race.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And look, I agree with the fact that there are no tensions with Rubio, and I do think they do have a strong relationship. I think he's maybe not being completely honest about the fact that he's thinking about the presidency in 2028 and has no ambition for that whatsoever. But look, that tag team, Rubio and Vance, is going to be one of the most destructive in Republican politics. They are a real force to be reckoned with. Now, there will be a bit of a contest in 2028 as to who gets to lead and who has to play the bit part role. But I suspect if one of those men can put their ego aside, then that could be another 8 years in the White House for the Republicans. The last thing I'll say is, it may not even be in their hands. I suspect Trump will want to anoint a successor. He still has a huge amount of sway over the party. He wouldn't even want to be thinking about this just yet. But I suspect whoever he chooses to anoint, if he does so choose to anoint, then that person will go on to become the leader of the Republican Party.